Oh, welcome, view all wine lovers. Hello, welcome, Viva Wine lovers. My name is Katerina, and I'm going to be your wine advisor through this beautiful Burgundy experience. And now I really encourage you to participate during this session. Don't hesitate to ask your questions and just short comments. Type them in the chat, and so we have a little conversation. What we will do today is we go briefly through the history of Burgundy, then we will see how the natural factors influence the style of wine in Burgundy. We'll dive a little deeper into the notion of climat, then we'll talk about two very important grape varieties for the region of Burgundy, and then we'll briefly discuss the classification pyramid of Burgundy. We will get started soon with a short video, so immerse and enjoy Burgundy. Now, most of you know that Burgundy is in France. It is actually only 1.5 hours away from Paris and around 2 hours away from Geneva. The Burgundy wine region is of course known for its grandiose wines, very prestigious wines all over the world. However, the region itself is quite small. Not many people know that. It contributes only 7% of its production to the whole wine production in France. Traditionally, it's been subdivided into 5 different regions. We have Chablis in the north. It's famous for producing one of the best mineral white wines in Burgundy. Then we have Côte de Nuit and Côte de Beaune together. They are known as Côte d'Or. Côte d'Or, because literally translated from French, means the golden slope. The name was inspired by the color of the leaves that turn golden during the autumn season. Then we have Côte Chalonnaise and Mâconnais. These two regions are known for its more affordable wines, both reds and whites. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of Burgundy. The first wines were planted by the Romans already in the 4th century. Then, slowly, the techniques of the winemakings were developed by Cistercian and Benedictine monks, who really sacrificed the wines, basically. They saw the wine as more than a drink. It was for them almost a sacred drink. Later on, in the 15th century, we mark a very special transition where the vineyards that were owned by the Christian church slowly transitioned into the private property. And this kind of transition is already still maintained today. So most of the vineyards in Burgundy are owned by family wine growers who pass on their savoir-faire and their knowledge from father to son, and thus maintain the quality of the Burgundy wines. Maybe you have already some questions at this point. Don't hesitate. I see someone is a big fan of Chablis. I would completely agree. However, there are some really nice examples of the Chardonnay in Côte-Chalonnaise and Mâconnais. We'll talk about it later, how Chardonnay expresses itself depending on which region and the soil. However, yeah, it is a beautiful grape variety, and I do encourage you to also purchase some samples just to try different varieties of the Chardonnay. Let's now talk specifically about the terroir of Bourgogne. So the concept of terroir is basically can be understood by defining how the natural factors influence the wine in Burgundy. So the natural factors, I'm sure most of you know what we mean by natural factors when we talk about weather or microclimate, exposure or orientation of the slopes, and of course the very rich and complex soils that are very symbolic for Burgundy. Symbolic in terms of they date back to millions and millions years ago, and they're known as Jurassic maritime soils. The climate in Burgundy is also quite special, and it is perfectly adapted to the viticulture. We have quite strong seasonality, so winters, summers, and the climate plays a very important role during the harvesting period, of course, and during the period where the grapes ripen. Why? Because we have quite strong fluctuations of the temperatures. So at the day we have perfect sun exposure where the grapes ripen very well and effectively, and during the nights we have this great chillness and freshness, so little lower temperatures. However, they play an important role in sustaining and pertaining the acidity of the grapes, and that is a crucial factor in understanding Burgundy wines, because they are famous for being elegant, very fine, but at the same time they offer this great succulence and a lot of body and a lot of complexity. I would like again to ask you if you have any questions. Don't hesitate. Just type them in your chat. I think we're ready to move on to our next video.
Donc là, on est vraiment sur l'histoire de la Bourgogne, la typicité des sols bourguignons. 2 parcelles plantées la même année, puisque on est sur Pôle jaune et Chantrerie jaune. Les 2 parcelles ont été plantées en 2001, même cépage donc, Pinot Noir, même clone, même winemaker, et tellement de différences alors qu'elles sont à 25 mètres d'écart dans le vignoble. La première, Pôle jaune, tout à fait typique des vins de la côte de Beaune. C'est croquant, il y a un joli fruit, des tanins qui sont un peu affirmés. On est surtout sur la fraîcheur, l'élégance, une jolie longueur en bouche et une finale qui fait saliver. Le deuxième, sur Chantrerie jaune, où on a un sol avec des argiles beaucoup plus complexes. Tout de suite, on est sur un vin beaucoup plus sérieux, beaucoup plus profond. La trame tannique très serrée et beaucoup plus veloutée. On a un peu un effet de multicouche, une profondeur en bouche et une finale qui fait encore beaucoup plus saliver avec encore beaucoup plus d'énergie. Là, on est plus sur un vin qui ressemblerait à un grand cru de la Côte de Nuit, alors que là, on est sur un joli vin de la Côte de Beaune. Et ça, c'est toute la richesse de la Bourgogne. Et il n'y a peut-être qu'en Bourgogne qu'on peut avoir une telle différence avec 20 mètres d'écart sur 2 parcelles.
All right, I actually have two more questions that I would like to answer. Both are from Gael. Very nice participation. Thank you very much. Rich or poor family, that's exactly the key thing about Burgundy, is that it's the variety of families, and each winemaker, irrespective of his income, has a possibility to make his own expression of the terroir. And the next question was about the temperature. What are the lowest temperatures? Well, since we are in the continental climate, the temperature tends to be very, very low. So in winter, it would be freezing cold. And as I told you before, I've already mentioned, I think, the concept of terroir. So in Burgundy, it has a specific name. It's called climat. It's synonymous to terroir, and this basically means that these natural factors that we talked about previously, they are all interacting with each other, and they are all a part of this notion of climat or terroir. So climat or terroir is basically a interaction between the soil, how the soil communicates with the climate, how the grape variety expresses it all, and what kind of exposition to the sun they have, and also the position on the slope of the wines. So in Burgundy, we have 1,247 of those different interactions, and they are all, since July 2015, declared as the UNESCO World Heritage. So this is a pretty big deal. That's why the wines in Burgundy are also very much appreciated and still maintain this this spiritual, sacral quality that none of the other region offers. Do you have, is Beaune a terroir? I see the question. Well, Beaune is at the same time a terroir, and it's also a little village, actually in the very center of Burgundy. I'm sure we can go ahead and sum up a little bit what we've learned, a little quiz. You see the questions on your screen. Don't hesitate to give me an answer in the chat. These questions are actually, maybe we haven't touched a lot of topics in details. However, I do encourage you to continue learning and do a little self-research. And the most important is, of course, that you taste the wines, because the palate, this is the key to understanding your notion. The theory, of course, it's available everywhere in the books, and we're here to support you in any way. But it is really when you taste the wines and when you compare your palate, when you establish this connection between what you taste and the way to express it. We have actually great experiences here, the tasting experience, where we get to taste the wines together. And so this notion of climat that may seem a little intimidating in the beginning, it would just open up to you, and the gate of Burgundy will serve as a great key to understanding not only this region, but also the whole wine regions in the world. Let us now talk about the two major grape varieties. Again, you're welcome to ask any questions. So this is the easiest thing you can remember about Burgundy. We primarily have to deal only with two grapes, Chardonnay for the white wine and Pinot Noir for the red wines. As we talked about climates, these feel really at home. These two grape varieties feel really at home in Burgundy, and Chardonnay produces two beautiful stylistics. In the north, they tend to be very mineral. So if we talk about food pairing, by the way, I have a question here about the food pairing. Chardonnay can handle a variety of foods, from your seafood, from something very crispy and fresh like a salad, to also some rich dishes like fish with a creamy sauce, and Pinot Noir actually as well. Although it is a very complicated grape variety to grow, but it found its home in Burgundy. It looks quite a pale color with a very thin tannins. It can handle really rich foods, and since we are now in time for Christmas, don't hesitate and choose Pinot Noir for some of the complicated dishes like duck with a cranberry sauce, or perhaps a nice saucy turkey with a side of potatoes. And don't hesitate to add some herbal sauces, because Pinot Noir would really pair well with them. yeah, for the holidays, I think I would prefer a red wine. We all think of Christmas, a time to kind of warm up, to cuddle up, to get your blanket with a glass of wine, and the red wine, the Pinot Noir, is actually perfect for that. I sometimes can get the whole bottle at a sitting. It is so pleasant to enjoy. Wonderful grape varieties, so succulent, and you have such a bright spectrum of fruits as well. Let's talk a little bit about the classification. Pyramid. It may be also a little bit complicated, but stay with me. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate. So the classification Burgundy was made in 1855, and we actually have a great question on social media about the difference between the classification of the two main regions of France, Bordeaux and Bourgogne. So if we talk about Bordeaux, Bordeaux wines, they were classified on a principle that involves the actual chateaux. So we classify not the vineyards or the terroirs like in Burgundy, we classified the chateaux and the dwellings. And yeah, this is basically the main difference. And also that in Bordeaux you deal primarily with different grape varieties, and in Burgundy there is, for the red wine, just one major grape variety. The classification pyramid has 4 very distinct levels. Most of the vineyards in Burgundy are classified as régional or village, and on the top of the pyramid we have 2 major appellations, Premier Cru and Grand Cru. So these are the very unique combinations or interactions between the natural factors of the concept of climat, and this is very, very rare. So based on this combination, the vineyards are classified as the Grand Crus. There's only 2% of all of the vineyards that are classified as the Grand Crus. They are very, very rare to get, but these wines will just astonish you. We do have a couple of examples in the chateau, and you can visit our website as well to have a look. We have great wine selections, and yeah, enjoy the wines. It's, as I said, much better to taste and to back up your theoretical material. I would like to offer you another quiz. What do you say? Let's dive in. Questions look okay, I would say. Not too complicated. Maybe sometimes climat can be a bit difficult to understand, but you just have to keep on learning. We have a variety of experiences that you can engage in, and as I said, interaction and just participation with not only with us but also with a group of friends. Let's say share a bottle of wine, don't hesitate to compare. Everyone has a different taste and everyone has a different perception of wines, different perception of aromas, and it's always really, really nice to share your experiences. Oh, I see, actually you're doing pretty good. Did you come prepared already to this session? Well, it looks like it. Have you taken a couple of our other experiences? Just a pretty strong audience. Very nice answers. Very proud of you. Gael is very active today with us. Thank you. We will take your time. There's a different speed and pace that everybody works with, so I don't want to really announce the questions. But I think we're pretty much through. We will probably move on to a little summary and wrap up. So again, this is now the time to basically have where the overview of the whole Burgundy region happens, so you can ask very specific questions. You can refer to climat. Maybe there's something else you want to precisely find out about the classification or the grape variety. I'll be happy to answer them. Well, the question whether one or the other wine region is better or not, it can be quite tricky. As I mentioned before, everybody has his own palate and his own preferences when drinking wines. But again, Burgundy is a quite special region to me. And well, as we say in Burgundy, you start with Bordeaux, but you always end up in Burgundy. So appreciate your Pinot Noir when you can. Oh, don't ever say that you failed the quiz. The quiz is something just to have a kind of entertainment more. The more you learn, the more you will become confident, and the more you practice the art of drinking and the art of experiencing Burgundy, the more you will become, let's say, flexible, and the more you will discover your palate. And we are here always to help you. We offer a variety of experiences, not only in the Burgundy, not only in France, but all over the world, where you have a unique chance to taste wines with us and to have a chat about it, to interact. We can guide you through the wine experience in Argentina, in the New World. We can go to Spain together. We can go to Italy together. And I'm sure we always have a great time. You always have our social media, the Facebook, the Instagram, our website to back you up on some kind of information that you may need. And well, browse through the website, check out most of our wines we have available online. So with just one click, we'll get the wines delivered to your door, and you can share them with your family and friends. The delivery also works actually quite fast and completely uncomplicated. So we're always there to support you. And of course, if you want to learn even more, then I do encourage you to visit Burgundy, because we have a lovely chateau that will soon turn into a hotel where you can spend a night, when you can really emerge in this atmosphere of the winemaking, where you can shake hands with winemakers and exchange information. And this is basically the most important that you can do for yourself. Visit the wine regions and click more on our experiences. We'll be always happy to welcome you, and I hope you enjoyed your time. I have very nice feedback here. Thank you from Gaël as well. I wish you a beautiful evening, and I hope to see you again on Vivant.